Russia right now has also, so like I mentioned earlier, they're looking to reconstitute certain ties and alliances that they had in the Soviet era. One of those alliances is with Afghanistan. Um, Now there was obviously a conflict, and that is one of the points, or one of the events that people believe helped to bring about the downfall of the Soviet Union. Um, but it looks like Russia's going back to Afghanistan, and they're talking to the Taliban mainly as workers. They are stressed with their citizenry, and they're not looking to bring on fighters. They are looking to bring on workers, from what it seems. But it is a very public blow, and yeah, or I shouldn't say public blow, but it is very like obviously contentious. Also, with the fact that the United States is completely out of Afghanistan, and now Russia is looking not to bring war to the area, but to bring um, opportunity and cohesion. And it again, that whole area, Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan, are all three very important pieces of real estate in the world. Probably among the most important pieces of real estate in the world. Um, and so, to the broader point about on Russia specifically, and yeah, I should be able to wrap this up in about 10 minutes, but we need to go back a little bit. In 2025, the Ukrainians were able to build up their infrastructure to produce drones on a scale that they can have a consistent campaign of attrition on Russia's refineries and oil fields and oil terminals. Um, and that's been a recent development. So now they're able to produce enough drones regularly to have sustained attacks on this infrastructure. Russia has the capability to have well over what they need in oil to produce, or in refineries for what they need to produce in general. And the attacks, I believe, only brought down their capacity by 30%. Um, but like I said, they could have produced much more, or they could have refined much more than they were. However, even though that 30% capacity, there was a margin of room in between what they were doing and what they could have been doing. There was a 13% drop, estimated 13 to 9% drop in real refined petroleum products. And that is important because that's significant. Because although in some ways you could see that the early drone campaign really didn't do much, you can see that now that the campaign has been sustained and refined, you're starting to see real effects on Russia's ability to create refined products. Because again, crude oil can't really be used for much. It needs to be refined into its separate parts and then exported or utilized. So there was a little bit more information that I found out. And I did find kind of a very interesting timeline. Operation Spiderweb was coordinated effort from the Ukrainians to take out and paralyze much of Russia's air capabilities, even going so far as to hit a Russian base all the way just north of China, which is important. Why would they hit a base just north of China? It's so far away. Then you see on June 3rd, and I should have checked the dates, but it was literally right after, I believe it was June 3rd, was the beginning of the 12-day war, uh, which ultimately had the United States launching B-2 bombers and hitting Iranian infrastructure with bunker busting bombs at Natanz and Fordo, I believe. The significance between those two dates, I think, is extremely important and is a very big uh, indicator of what happened. Obviously, Ukraine is a proxy of the United States. They're using United States equipment, NATO equipment, and I think what that was a big signal of was, hey, look, the United States, and we very obviously launched. So we have Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, very small island that has B-2 stealth bombers. We had the bombers that we could have launched a much quicker strike on Iran than we did. We made a very public strike because anybody who was following that knew we launched B-2s out of Missouri, out of the Midwest at the very least. I think it was Missouri, but we launched B-2s out of the Midwest that took an extended flight to Iran to drop the bombs. It was a very public event that followed uh, degradation of Russia's ability to have, any type of, or I shouldn't say any type of air combat, but it was a direct hit on Russia's ability to fight a battle in the air. So yeah, just something to note, very interesting. Following that came the campaign on the refineries, and then following that in February, the campaign increased. And I know I haven't had too much graphics on this video, but here's a graphic right here, and you can see that every strike, every blue X is a strike on Russian oil infrastructure since February. And it's only ramped up, or I shouldn't say only ramped up, but it has ramped up increasingly with the Iranian conflict. So much to the point that Russia right now is banning export of gasoline and it's restricting plane flights. So this really is kind of the ultimate fruition of the United States plan. And again, it's a theory, it's a thesis that all of this has to do with cutting off Russian energy and protecting the United States dollar. And it's only now that Russia is showing true signs of a lack of ability to be in the energy market that we're starting to see some real headway move forward with the Iranian deals. And I think one of the things that's going on truly is we need to keep the door open. And we can't completely walk out of Iran yet. And even though there's an MOU that could be signed hopefully soon, 60 days is a very short amount of time to come to agreements on what they want to agree on. And we've already been in this position before, and it didn't end well. And again, with all the things that I've seen, we're seeing true ramp ups in civilian infrastructure. We're seeing very specific bases being targeted that have very specific meaning to Iran's strategic plans, or what I imagine their plans to be. Just because these wars may have been an eventuality to protect the U.S.'s hegemony and power influence over the world, it doesn't mean that we're able to get exactly what we want. And if this does become a true conflict, true boots on the ground conflict, that's something that we're obviously prepared to do. And we're at one of those points, like there's no guarantees. Like I said, anything can happen. It's all, have comfort in the probabilities. But they know what the probabilities are if there is true boots on the ground. So, we got to see how all of this sorts out. Very, very interesting developments, not what you were hearing probably throughout the week, but what I was keeping my eyes on. And we'll see where it all goes. So if you've made it this far, thank you for staying with me. My name's Nathan again. I'm the owner of Atlantic Financial. And if you're interested in seeing what your personal situation would look like under some of my strategies and investment processes, please give me a call at 267-835-2403 or send me an email at nathan@atlanticfinancialmngt.net. I look forward to speaking with everybody soon, and I hope everybody has a great weekend.